Hello people, welcome to the second part of the types of numbers. It's Tag Khalid from TK Tutorials. I welcome you all. So we were on the ninth type of the number, which are the rational numbers. So rational numbers are those numbers which can be converted into fractions or whole numbers, which means it has the property that it can be converted into fractions or whole numbers. For example, 0.2, which is 1 upon 5, and 0.8, which is 4 upon 6. So basically rational numbers are those numbers which can be converted into fractions or whole numbers. So the 10th part is the opposite of rational numbers, which are irrational numbers. So irrational numbers are those numbers which can never be converted into fractions, which is the totally opposite of rational numbers. These are those numbers which can never be converted into fractions. For example, pi or under root 2. For example, if you put pi in this calculator, so it's giving us a decimal, and 22 upon 7, many people say that 22 upon 7 is also the value of pi. But if we look at this value, this is the exact value of pi, 3.141592654. But if we type 22 upon 7 in the calculator, this is not the exact value. Look, in the end it's coming 143, and if you write pi, it's coming 654. So the 22.7 is not an exact value. So that's why pi is an irrational number. Basically, it is approximately equal to pi. Hence, pi is an irrational number. And same is the case with under root 2. If you write under root 2 in the calculator, the answer is coming fraction. And this the answer is coming in decimal, and this decimal cannot be converted into fraction. So that's why, hence under root 2 is an irrational number, and pi is also an irrational number, and so on. Now, the 11th type of numbers are the fractions. So basically, fractions are a proportion or part of a whole number. For example, 4 upon 6, 7 upon 8, etc. etc. Fractions are divided into two categories: proper fractions and improper fractions. So, first let's write the first property of a fraction. The first property of a fraction are that a proportion or a part of whole number, that it is a proportion or a part of a number. So basically fraction is a proportion or a part of a number. For example, 4 upon 6, 2 upon 6, 7 upon 6, etc. and so on. So basically fractions are divided into two parts, which are known as proper fractions and improper fractions. Proper fractions and improper fractions. So basically, proper fractions are those fractions whose numerator is less than its denominator. For example, 4 upon 6 is a fraction. We write here 4 upon 6 is a fraction. 4 is called as numerator and 6 is called as denominator. So in short, the number at the highest point of the fraction means the number up the fraction is called the numerator, and the number down the fraction is called the denominator. So in proper fractions, the property is are all those fractions whose numerator, which is this, is lesser than the denominator. For example, this is a proper fraction because 4 is a numerator which is less than 6 the denominator, which satisfies the property of proper fractions. So let's write the property of proper fractions that are those fractions whose numerator is less than its denominator. For example, like we studied here, 4 upon 6. And the property of improper fraction is totally the opposite of proper fractions. That are those fractions whose numerator is greater than its denominators, which means it is total opposite of proper fractions. That are those fractions which numerator is greater than the denominator. For example, we just switch the places if you want to make it a improper fraction. For example, 6 upon 4, because now the numerator has become 6 and the denominator has become 4, which is satisfying the property of improper fraction, because the numerator is greater and the denominator is smaller than the numerator. So this is an improper fraction and this is a proper fraction. So, well, there is another property. There is an additional note to the improper fractions, because all improper fractions basically can be converted into mixed numbers. So all improper fractions can be converted into mixed numbers. We will study mixed numbers right now in the 12th category, and I will also teach you that how to convert improper fractions into mixed numbers in the next video. But first we have to learn that what are the types of numbers. So now the 12th type of the numbers are the mixed numbers. Well, mixed numbers are all those numbers which comprise of a whole number and a proper fraction. For example, 2 whole 4 upon 6, 8 whole 8 upon 2, etc. Let me write this property first. Mixed numbers are basically all those numbers which comprise of a whole number and a proper fraction. And a proper fraction. So basically what is this property saying? That mixed numbers are all those numbers which comprise of a whole number and a proper fraction. Whole numbers are all those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and so on. A proper fraction is a number whose numerator is lesser than the denominator. So for example, if we write the proper fraction 4 upon 6 we studied earlier, and we write a whole number, a random whole number here, 2. So which means that this number is a mixed number because it comprises of a whole number and a proper fraction. So that's the mixed numbers. Now there are two more types of numbers which are known as real numbers, which is the 13th type of numbers, where real numbers are all those numbers which do exist. All above mentioned numbers, which are all when we studied all those types of numbers, all those types of numbers are real numbers. And all real numbers can be expressed on a number line. Number line is of a graph because we post those numbers on a number line of a graph which are real numbers, which means that all those numbers which we studied earlier are, for example, natural numbers, mixed numbers, and real numbers, fractions, and all those numbers are the real numbers which we studied earlier. So basically the property is that they are all those numbers which we studied earlier, and they can also be expressed on a number line. The last type of numbers, which is the 14th type, are called as imaginary numbers. So basically, imaginary numbers are those numbers which cannot be expressed on a number line because they do not exist. They're also called complex numbers. All numbers which are not real numbers are imaginary numbers. For example, any negative number with a root, such as minus under root 2. For example, if you put minus under root 2, we put under root and then minus 2, it simply gives us math error, which we can also give the name as a complex number or an imaginary number, or it is not a real number. So that's why imaginary numbers simply do not exist. So any number with imaginary numbers have a very most important property that many students do not understand, that any number with a denominator of 0 is also known as imaginary number. For example, if we type 2 and put the denominator as 0, it then also gives you math error. So that's why any number with a denominator of 0 is an imaginary number. So the property of imaginary numbers are, there are all those numbers which cannot be expressed on a number line, and they do not exist and they are also called complex numbers, and all numbers which are not real numbers are also known as imaginary numbers. All numbers which are not real numbers are imaginary numbers. And also any number with a denominator of 0 is also an imaginary number. So these are the properties of imaginary numbers which cannot be expressed on a number line. They do not exist. Oh, I wrote existee, but it is known as exist. They do not exist. They're also called complex numbers. All numbers which are not real numbers are imaginary numbers. Any number with a denominator of 0 is also an imaginary number. So these were all the types of numbers. If you people have any queries regarding to the types of numbers which I had explained, you may ask them from me in the comment sections below, and I will try my level best to solve your queries, to solve all your queries. And in the next video, I will be teaching about how to convert fractions into decimals and how to convert decimal into fractions and all those stuff. And I have also many plans in the future to move forward as algebra and to move forward as advanced mathematics. But I decided to start from the basic maths so that I can make a series of maths so that it may help younger students as well as the advanced students or the university students or the college students. So if you have any suggestion regarding to my new channel, so please give them in the comment sections below, and please subscribe to my channel, give it a like and a share, and help my channel grow. Thank you for watching TK Tutorials. I will see you in the next video.